So sometimes, people don't realize how much they're carrying until, they feel like overwhelmed, like everything is just falling apart. So, what are some warning signs that someone might be, struggling emotionally, but they brush it off as like, this just stress, it'll be all right, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I always tell people if it's keeping you up at night, so inability to get proper rest, if it is impacting how you show up for yourself, so neglecting your needs, your hygiene, your appearance, and then your social connections. Are you starting to feel distant or cut off from people who, normally would be close to you? We all have those moments where we make plans and we're like, well, if they don't call, I'm okay with not going. But like really avoiding people, or making up things just because you don't want to socialize. Those are some key things to look out for.
So,
Breaking the silence, taking the dive in. Nikki pulling strings like she playing the violin. Made in his likeness, radiant vibrance. Give them all glory, ain't no way to deny it. She gon' make you laugh, she gon' stimulate your mind. Making things shake, she ain't in no wasting time. They can come close, but can't imitate the grind. Got a different way to illustrate and innovate designs. BTS podcast, gotta watch that. Teaching us the game, that mean Nikki got class. If you watch it once, you gon' wanna stop back. This an opportunity that you cannot pass. Unleash your inner voice, cause better days coming. Better days, get ready for better days. Better days, better days. Better days, get ready for better days. Better days, better days.
welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Silence, the platform where stories are shared, voices are heard, and healing begins. I'm your host, Arthur Nikki Nicole, and here on the Breaking the Silence, we have real conversations about life, healing, resilience, and moments that share who we become. Because sometimes the very things we struggle with silently are the things that connect us the most. So tonight's guest is Miss Nic Burnette. She is a licensed independent social worker and founder of Destination Fortified Counseling and Wellness, where she helps individuals navigate anxiety, grief, life transitions, and build emotional resilience. So, I'm not going to hold you too long. I'm going to let you meet her. So, after the countdown, please welcome this amazing woman to the platform. Hey, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So before we get started, I would like to welcome you first, but tell them a little bit more about you. Now, don't tell them everything. Give them just a little sneak peek.
Sure. So, thank you for having me, first and foremost. I am Nic Burnette. I am the owner and clinical provider at Destination Fortified Counseling and Wellness. Aside from that, I am a mom, a boy mom at that, and a wife, youngest of three kids, and survivor of an adverse childhood.
Wow, a survivor. Okay, now. So now let me start here. Many people, walk around every day looking fine on the outside, going to work, smiling, posting online, but inside they're struggling. So, as a therapist, how common is it for people to suffer in silence?
Very common, especially the African American community, where we're taught what goes on in this house stays in this house, or pray about it, or depress them dishes. It's very common. We're taught early to mask it. My mom's favorite saying was, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And as a kid, I thought that meant suck it up.
Me too. Me too. I thought the same thing. But you know what? You can have therapy and Jesus.
Absolutely.
But you know what? Therapy. I think in the black community, they don't think therapy actually works. So for people, out there that have that, like you said, what goes on in this house stays in this house, that stigma. What do you say to those type of people when it comes down to therapy to like encourage them to get therapy?
Yeah, I always tell them that, it's nice to have a neutral perspective on things. Someone who, they're not there to judge you, they're not there to correct you, but just listen and ask you questions to make you think and kind of guide you to where you might be able to correct some things and make better choices. And it can't hurt to try. It's nothing wrong in just trying.
Right, right. So now I gotta take you back a little bit. Before the degrees, the private practice, what first inspired you to pursue a career in mental health and helping people navigate this thing we call life through their hardest seasons in their lives?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I am a survivor of an adverse childhood. I'm the youngest of three. We were raised by a single mom, so she had her struggles. My siblings, they had theirs as well. And I recognized early on um that like they struggling, like there's some things that are going on. I know I can't talk to other people about it because I'd be in trouble with my mom, but I was just so mature and recognizing early like this isn't normal, and I guess kind of comparing my friends and their families. So I just knew I want to help people. If my family can't get what it needs, if they can't get themselves together, maybe someday I can be that person to help others.
So at what point did you realize, my voice matters? I actually can go out here and help people transition their lives.
So this would be high school. I was a part of like a peer support team, and it started just educating my peers, talking about, high risk behaviors, making good choices, prioritizing your studies, just being responsible. So I started out as like a peer mentor, a peer advocate, and seeing how my peers listened to me, I knew that I had a voice.
High school.
Mhm.
I wish I knew I had a voice in high school. I didn't learn about my voice until way later on in life that I actually could use this thing in my mouth. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So now many people feel, nervous and intimidated by the ideal of therapy. We just talked about that. What is one thing you wish more people understood about therapy that might change how they view it, especially the baby boomers?
I would say that therapy isn't meant to fix you. A lot of people think that, there's something wrong with them. And that's the reason they need to go to therapy. I'm here because I got to find out why I keep doing these things or what's wrong with me. But the reality of it is that everyone has their own challenges and everyone makes choices in how they navigate those challenges. And it's just about learning how to cope.
Sometimes, people don't realize how much they're carrying until, they feel like overwhelmed, like everything is just falling apart. So, what are some warning signs that someone might be, struggling emotionally, but they brushing off as like, this just stress, it'll be all right, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I always tell people if it's keeping you up at night, so inability to get proper rest, if it is impacting how you show up for yourself. So neglecting your needs, your hygiene, your appearance, and then your social connections. Are you starting to feel distant or cut off from people who, normally would be close to you? We all have those moments where we make plans and we're like, well, if they don't call, I'm okay with not going. But like really avoiding people or making up things just because you don't want to socialize. Those are some key things to look out for.
You know what? That's weird you say that. You said make it the things, to avoid and avoid people like, well, they call, they don't. I didn't know that was a sign.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. But we go through life every day and we don't really pay attention to really our body just breaking down. We just go and go because we're taught. I mean, I don't know if you were taught this way, but I was taught that you had to work for one, you had to go to church, you had to do these everyday things. So you just had to go no matter what. Like you say, what don't kill you, makes you stronger. So
Hmm.
you go into your body fall apart, literally. And now you're laying in the hospital because you didn't take time for self.
Yes.
So, and I learned that the hard way. I learned that the hard way. But people often think, therapy is only, for major traumas in our lives, like, going through some things in your life that you survived from. Why is it important to address everyday stress like that, like relationship issues and life transitions before they begin affecting our mental health?
Yeah, because everyone processes different situations in their own way. And so, what might not be, traumatizing or a big deal for me could be to someone else. So, if there's just, a disagreement with someone and it's constantly taking up space in your mind, and then you add that on top of, having to work, having to provide, other things that might go wrong or unexpected change, you just constantly piling one thing on top of the other, eventually that plate is gonna fall.
That fall and break.
Mhm.
I agree. So now the biggest of all that we have to deal with in this life to me is grief. And to be honest, I had like maybe 4 deaths back to back. I haven't fully grieved yet. I have literally had a moment to just sit and think about it. But grief can, completely change how we experience our lives. We just, like you said, we still keep going through it all, regardless. But for someone carrying, loss and like wondering if life would ever be normal again, because people say, time heals wounds. Where does that healing really begin?
So grief is not a parallel or circular process like we like to think. It's not just, top to bottom. Grief is more like all over the place, it's scattered. So one day you might be like, okay, I recognize that this person I love, I cared for deeply, they're no longer here. And so, let me just keep going, let me try my best because that's what they would want me to do. But then you have those birthdays, you have those death anniversaries, those special occasions. Those times can make you feel like you're losing them all over again. And so that's why it's important to remember that even though you might have reached acceptance later on, randomly out of the blue, any little trigger can send you back to that state of questioning even being in denial, being angry about that loss.
Yeah, you're right though, because Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, I struggle with that kind of thing. But
Mhm.
like I said, they say time heals all wounds. Sometimes you just really don't get over it. But how do you navigate life after having, say, your spouse around and you lose your spouse or your parent? How do you navigate life after that and move forward?
Intentionality. It's not just gonna happen. You have to make the decision that, okay, I know that this birthday is approaching. So let me plan this activity, to honor my loved one, or let me make sure that I'm surrounded by family and people I care about. Even if I don't really want to talk, let me just, find myself in a situation where I'm comfortable and I'm not alone so that I don't become in a worse state than what I already am because of that grief.
Wow, it's easy said than done, I
Oh,
need.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So now, in many communities, especially the Black community, mental health conversations still carry stigma. So why do you think so many people were taught to just deal with it instead of asking for help?
Honestly, um, being born in the early 90s and the age gap between me and my mom, let's see, my mom was born in the 50s. So by the time she had me, she was almost 40. There's a big age gap. We were born and raised in different times. Um, they didn't really know what mental health was, honestly. My mom, her dad was a pastor, and so, she grew up in the church, and that's really all they knew. But, there were several relatives who suffered, who struggled with mental illness, addiction, substance abuse. But all they knew was to call on Jesus. I don't think they really knew what mental illness was.
That's true. That's true because my mom was born in the 40s. And you're right. They didn't I don't even was therapy even around during that time is my question. Because they
Was
prayed about it.
Yeah,
They just prayed
yeah.
about it and
It
took it to Jesus, took it to the altar.
Yeah, yeah, it was, but it wasn't as widespread and widely available as it is now. And you didn't have people who looked like you and I who were, the clinicians and the therapists.
You're right.
So
You're
there
right.
was a lack of trust in the mental health system.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Lack of trust. That's a good way to put that. Lack of trust. I like that. So your work focuses on helping people, build emotional resilience. For someone, feeling mentally drained right now in this moment, what does emotional resilience actually look like in everyday life?
So, like I mentioned earlier, intentionality, starting your day, setting the tone for what's to follow. So, if that means a moment to yourself, to reflect, to meditate, listen to a song you love, whatever feeds your soul in that moment. For me, it's reading a scripture. Before I open an email, before I open a text, look on social media, I'm just going to read that scripture. I'm going to pray. And then whatever follows, I feel like I have a better, handle on everything else. So I think that's the first place to start, taking care of yourself, figuring out what it is that you need and show up for you before you handle anything else. Because if you don't make time for self, you're not going to have the capacity to deal with anything else or take on any other emotions.
But it's hard finding time for self because you
Is
have so many.
it?
Yeah. Okay. For me, Nick, it's hard because I have a 1 year old. So I have a 1 year old, and my niece says now she's 6.
Mhm.
Then I work a full time job, a podcast. It's always something to do. So having a moment, how when you have so much going on in your life, how do you find that moment to sit down and listen to that favorite gospel song or read that favorite scripture?
A moment is all that it is. It don't have to be a day. It don't have to be, a whole hour. Sometimes all it is a moment. If it's 30 seconds, if it's, a 2-minute song, if that's all you can fit into your day, then start there. But the goal would be to find a way to create that moment first and then build everything else around it.
That makes sense. But I was just talking to my sister the other day. I said, I had to step back and think for a second. Everything that we do in our life has to be intentional, literally. And
Mhm.
I said, I just think I was just walking through life, not really being intentional about things, thinking I was doing what I need to do. But I had to take a step back and like, listen, Nikki, let's check you for a second and figure out what's going on so we can really be intentional. Not even about just podcasting, but in everyday life when you go outside in the community and you deal with people, you have to be intentional with what you say, what you do, how you interact, because there's either going to be somebody watching you, or and not only that, somebody watching you, but if you're actually trying to build something in your life, you really have to be intentional with everything that you do in your life,
Mhm.
literally. So I had this is my least favorite part of the show, but this is the last question. Okay, so Neek, what would you say to someone who has been suffering in silence for years? Like, say somebody from the baby boom area, where they didn't even believe in therapy, um, that is afraid to finally break their silence and say, you know what, I need to get this off my chest. Journaling is not working. Listening to music not working. Reading the Daily Bread is not working. Calling on Jesus is not working right now. What do you say to those people?
I would tell them that if you keep doing the same thing, you're only going to get the same results. So why not try something different and see if that makes a change? Try therapy.
Try therapy. So now this is my moment where I'm going to pass the mic to you. I'm going to do the countdown, and after that, this is your time to let everybody know how to use your services, follow your journey, whatever you want them to know. That's more amazing about you. Let them know anything you need to let them after the countdown. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So before I pass the mic, I just want to say thank you. I am grateful to be able to converse with some amazing people doing amazing things every day and share them with you so you can know about these people. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Breaking the Silence. It means the world to me. So if this space has inspired you, challenged you, or made you feel seen in some type of way, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel, like this episode, share it with someone who needs it, and drop that comment and let me know you're here because I want to hear your thoughts. Your support means everything to me. It keeps these conversations going. So now, let me pass the mic so you can know how to get in contact with this amazing guest. So let's get back into this episode.
All right. Thank you, Nikki Nicole, for having me once again. It's been amazing speaking with you. I just want to share with everyone how you can connect with me. I have a website that is www.destinationfortified.com. There you will find my phone number, my email address, where you can reach out to schedule a 15-minute consultation, which is free. Even if we figure that, I'm not the best fit for you or you have services beyond, what I can provide, we will make sure that you have, connection elsewhere. I also see clients on headway.com as well as rula.com. All services are virtual. Anyone with no insurance, I do offer cash rate. It's also a sliding scale for anyone that needs to figure out, a way that works for them. I am all about accessibility, affordability, because we want to provide mental health care that is proactive, not reactive, making sure you have what you need before you're at your lowest low. Thank you so much.
Wow. So I didn't ask this question. What type of therapy do you do? Do you do marriage therapy? I mean, what who do you serve for as individuals?
Yeah, so I do primarily individuals. Of course, people have issues a lot of times as it results to their relationships or their families. So, if at any time it's a family situation or a marriage situation, then I'll invite those significant others in as a part of the therapy as well. And I also provide premarital counseling. So for people who are looking to get married, let's make sure we know how to communicate. Let's remember why we fell in love. Let's remember how to keep that going so that we can make sure that this is a strong and healthy situation.
Hmm. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming and supporting Breaking the Silence. I hope we stay locked in. If there's anything that you want me to share, later on down the road, I tell everybody this, just drop it in my inbox, email me. However, just get it to me and I'll share it. I got you.
Absolutely. Thank
We
you
in
so
it to
much.
win it. You welcome. And thank you to everybody else out there that's watching this amazing episode. Thank you for tuning into yet another episode of Breaking the Silence. I hope and pray that today's conversation has left you feeling seen, heard, and inspired. Remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and healing begins when we stop suffering in silence. So until next time, keep speaking your truth, keep showing up for yourself, and keep breaking the silence because healing starts when we do what? Speak. So until next time, hang in there, y'all. We got this. Later.
Better days, slowly but surely it's a better space that'll waste my mind, so I meditate till I levitate, I elevate, but I learn not to hesitate no more, keep moving forward, chase my goals and focus more towards it, hate the lows but I need those to flourish, place my goal in front, that's what's important, so I ask myself what inspires me, breaking out of my shell, feeling your shot quiet me, and now I'm breaking the silence like I'm Nic Nicole, let's go. Promise you gon' see better. Hey, gotta keep going till you see them. Promise you gon' see better. Hey, you gotta keep going till you see them.